Hello, guys. My name is Luba. I'm success coach of Guaranty. I'm with Guaranty for around 4 years, and yeah, I'm happy to create happy couples. We are live. Today is December 16 live stream, and we have for you incredible Hollywood-like love story. We would like to introduce for you Steve, our happy client.
Right in the middle of it.
Hello,
Like
Steve.
you
Привіт.
Hi.
How are you today? Good to see you.
Doing all right. Yeah.
Okay, Steve, I'm so excited to interview you today and saying thank you for being so open and to share your wonderful story with us today.
No, I try. I'll try my best to share my story.
So, Steve, I understand you are flying to meet Maria in the United Kingdom on Christmas Eve, and then you have a special question for her, right? Can you share what is it?
I do, actually. I'm leaving here on Christmas Eve, and I'll get there Christmas morning. And then the plan is, kind of depending on how the day goes and how bad my jet lag is probably by that evening to pop the question.
Okay. Yeah. So also I understood that you and Maria will be joining us live after your Christmas proposal to share your experience with us. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the original plan. I know we talked about was to do our stream together.
Yeah, we will be doing this stream after. We will be happy to see you both.
Yeah, so she was open for it, so I thought that would be great, and so we'll still have that story to tell after the proposal.
Fantastic. And I understand that it's possibility for you still to participate in National Geographic TV show.
There is that as well. That's something I'm working on talking with Maria on, because I want to make sure she's on board with it, because I got to respect her privacy if she wants to keep things private or if she's open for having it open.
Sure. Both you and the lady should be agree actually to be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always on the internet and everywhere else, so for me, it's no big deal, but I have to be able to respect her privacy.
Super. I see we have some viewers. Hello, guys. Hello, Porfirio. What? Okay. So, guys, this is Steve and Maria. Okay, Steve. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. So, how old are you, and what are you doing for living, and where are you from?
Well, where I'm from is pretty easy. I live in Northern California, not too far outside of Sacramento. I turned, well, the pictures, you have my birthday or age at 46, but I'm 47 now. And my job is I started off pretty much in IT, but now I'm in cybersecurity. So yeah, I get to dive into all the fun stuff.
Okay, wonderful. And yeah, good evening, Luba, superstar coach. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for compliment. It's always pleasure to get good results like we see now. So this is the biggest pleasure. Okay, Steve, why you decided to search your wife overseas? And why specifically Ukrainian wife?
Overseas, it was I think most men in the Western society or America will know that the pond that we fish in isn't the best pond anymore. And trying to find somebody with similar mindsets that most of us are looking for is family oriented, somebody that's going to walk beside you, not a competition type thing. That's part of the reason why I started looking abroad after kind of failed attempts and looking what was here. I mean, after being married for over 20 years, you don't know what the dating pool looks like until you get back out in there, and it's like, oh, it's like it's time to change ponds.
So you was married. Yes, sorry. You was married with American lady, I understand. And
yes.
20 years.
And
That's a long time.
why specifically Ukrainian, it was something that was ingrained into me when I was little. I was like 8 or 9 years old the first time I met a Ukrainian lady. And of course, this time it was still like around Soviet Union or the fall of the Soviet Union. So our mindset was everybody's Russians at that point. It didn't matter from where. If you're Poland part of it, you're Russian, just because that's just the way the Soviet Union was. So when I met a friend's grandmother, I was like, wow. First, I mean, the beauty, I mean, just for a grandmother, she looked extremely young. So I still remember to this day. And I'm like, where's your grandma from? Because I mean, she was the nicest person I'd ever met, and even to this day, ever met. And he told me, well, she's from Ukraine. I'm like, well, where's Ukraine from? It's like, well, Soviet Union. I go, oh, so she's Russian. He's like, no, she's not Russian. Don't ever say that. She's Ukrainian. And
you
I
cannot
got to know.
mistake in this anymore.
Oh no, I learned very early on, and
Yeah.
so he was one of my friends, and I got to know who she was and stuff, and started learning about the culture. And it's just kind of what I remember being growing up with, is what you see, like the old school 50s, as I like to call it, in the U.S., where you had your traditional roles in the family, but the husband and wife still work together in achieving their goals for building up their family and stuff like that. It's like no one person was above the other. But yeah, she was a really awesome person, and that kind of ingrained in me at that point.
Yeah. And and how were your dating experience in America?
Oh, not good.
Okay, can you share a little bit?
I
think I hear some echo.
No, you sound fine.
Okay.
So the big things I've noticed, after a couple of bad dating attempts, they weren't the best, without going into like deep stories. Trying to get the trust, trying to compete with a masculine energy to a masculine energy, it just doesn't work. And when I finally just stopped looking, and before I came here, I'm in the gym every day working out, and you'll have the girls with their phones out trying to film their workouts, and you see it on TikTok, trying to catch people and say, look at this creep type thing. I would have them start talking to me, and I'm like, I'm not here for any relationship or anything. I'm completely done. And it was amazing that they would start chasing after you, and what they would just throw out there at you in order to get you. And I'm like, if you're willing to give up everything, not even knowing the person, you're not the quality woman I'm looking for. I want somebody that's going to be traditional, not, I don't have the right words for it, but not very promiscuous in those regards, because psychology's proven that being that promiscuous is, you're not going to be able to pair bond. And I want somebody I can actually bond with and build a life, not somebody that's going to be that way and probably looking for the next best thing that comes along.
So I would like to say you couldn't find a wife in America.
No. Not saying that they're not out here. It's a lot more work to find them. And if you're trying to find a good fishing spot in a bad lake, it's going to be difficult to locate. So I just kind of decided to change fishing ponds and went abroad.
Okay. Did you have any bad experience before Magic Guarantee?
The first agency I went through, I wouldn't say was a bad experience. I went over and I met, I want to say like 5 or 6 people. 5 people sounds right. And 3 of them I thought I hit it off pretty well with. But with the impeding war coming out, because I went to Kharkiv right before the war broke out. It was December, right before everything happened. And one person was moving out of country knowing what was to come, and they didn't want to be in the area when this happened. And then the other 2, we just kind of lost contact as the war broke out. And rightfully so, with what's going on. Your life's just got turned upside down, so you're trying to figure out what's going on. So I wouldn't necessarily, it's a bad experience. It was a learning experience. definitely one opening my eyes up, being dived in the brief time I was in Ukraine into the culture, learning about the people and hanging out with people. I made some pretty good friends while I was there.
Mhm.
And then learning the initial interactions with the ladies and stuff. Then I wound up going to a different agency and hit it
Mhm.
off pretty good. This is after the war broke out, and went to meet somebody and in Italy last year of all times, and they never showed up. So yeah,
Ooh, you
so
know
I
what to
made
get.
a yeah,
Scam, scam,
and
scam. Yeah.
I had everything all laid out the whole trip, and I remember walking by the Trevi fountain. I took a selfie and sent it to her. And I'm like, "Wish you were here." And then that was the only time I heard from her. Just on vacation suits you, and then that was the last I heard from her. And so I didn't like get down on it. I just changed up the whole trip. I'm like, I'm here. I'm gonna go do all the things that I've been wanting to do in this country, and I made lemonade out of lemons and got to see some pretty awesome stuff and crammed all of Italy in that I needed to see in 5 days. Um,
Yeah. So this was a scam agency, as I understood, because lady
uh,
didn't appear basically.
this was a
Mm.
different one. I don't remember the name of that one. It's been a while. And then I looked at UBA, like I think it was Ukrainian Bride Agency, and
Mhm. Mhm.
it was getting mixed reviews, and so I kind of jumped in, and it was odd that you're getting plastered with so many women hitting you all at once and of all ages, and so you
Mhm.
kind of start hitting it off pretty quickly within like a month. And it's like, okay, let's take this offline, swap information, and get to know each other more, and then start working towards meeting up. And the
Mhm.
story was always the same. Well, I need to think about this. This is a big step. And I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. I'm done talking to you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Big step to exchange contacts. Yeah, even
yeah.
after
It's like,
1 year.
and I was just like, okay. I mean, when I started noticing the same pattern over and over and over, and it was pretty
Mhm.
much the same line, it's like, okay, this is crap. And then I took a couple months off and kind of researching Match Guarantee. Actually, I've been looking at Match Guarantee even prior to that, and
Mhm.
finally was like, I've been putting all this out and doing this on my own, and I'll just take a shot here and see what it's all about. And that's how I ended up here.
Mhm. Mhm. And how much money would you say you spent searching for a wife in Ukraine before Match Guarantee? How much
So
money you spent?
that includes like my travelings over and stuff. Would you want to count that, or
Maybe on agencies, on sites,
just some
and of course
agencies?
traveling because you flew to Italy and didn't
Yeah,
meet anybody, so you wasted basically
well,
money and
Italy, and then
time.
I also went to Kharkiv. Um, Let me see. Probably in the neighborhood about 15,000, I think. That's including all the travel and stuff. And
Mhm. Mhm.
I bumped up my airfare because I decided to spoil myself after all of that. I bumped up airfare from basic flights to first class. I was just like,
Mhm.
forget it. Just went crazy.
Yes, yeah, that's common. That yeah, yeah, 15,000. Steve wasted basically.
Yeah, across
Um,
roughly 2 years, I would say.
and 2 years of your precious life, precious time.
Yep. I mean,
Okay,
money is money. Time is you can't replace. And
exactly. Okay, can you share that? What were your top three biggest fears about looking for a wife in Ukraine? And after your experience with Match Guarantee, how those fears now?
Um, I think the biggest one is probably like many was, is this going to be a scam, or is she trying to take me for what I have? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much standard for everybody. Uh, I think the second one is like, is this legit? Is this really real? Uh,
Uh-huh.
I can't really think of a third one off the top of my head, but I think falling for somebody and then building something and then it never going somewhere. I think that would be a big one, especially at a distance. Long distance relationship does take work, and things can peter out if you're not really actively working towards it. That would be the three I think would be the big ones. But after Match Guarantee and meeting Maria, I don't have the fears now. I mean, my worries is making sure she's safe for whenever she goes
Of course.
into Ukraine or anything like that. But that's just the normal relationship worries.
Yeah, I remember you told me your fear also was that you will not be successful with us and you waste your money, basically.
Yeah, I think
didn't
that's
get a result. It's not the case. It's not the case
no.
anymore, as you see, guys.
But there's like the motto I lived by is for the longest time and still do to this day is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And, you know, you don't know if you don't try.
Exactly. Yeah, this is question. How did you know Maria was the one? And when did you know?
I think that goes back to how I picked her. I think would probably be the easiest way to explain it. So, because when I originally looked at everything, I knew I had to at least pick 10 people for the initial contact. So this was weeks prior. I would put in a database what I was looking for as my criteria, and started just doing my search. And I would make a spreadsheet. Every person I come through, you know, were men, were visual, so they look physically attractive to me. I go on a profile, read up their stuff, look at their photos, try to get an idea of who they are based on that information. If I like it, I put their info in a spreadsheet and move on to the next one. And then I would just save it, put it away. A couple of days later, I would start all over, do the new search over, but never touch the old spreadsheet. Then after a couple of weeks, I just looked at who was I selecting over and over and over, and then built my sheet up that way. And I did a total of 6 times, and Maria was the only one that I'd selected all 6 times. And I remember coming up to her profile a couple of times, and I'm like, I think I picked her. I don't remember. And I'm like, well, we'll put her on the list anyways, just in case. And I had told her about that whole process, and she was kind of amazed with it. So
she knows, yeah.
I mean, I treated it like, I mean, like if you're buying, well, that's a bad analogy, but I treat it as you're investing in something. You know, you're investing, in this case, your life into a future with somebody, and so you really want to do your due diligence and make sure the person that you get and things like that. And then after when you came back, you're like, okay, well, these like 5 people said yes, we're still waiting for all these people, and these couple of people said no, and she was right on the list. I'm like, no, set it up with her. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And
so
as soon as
yeah, so you were choosing with your heart, with gut feeling, and
I think it was like a gut, kind of like a gut, maybe an intuition, but it was definitely like a gut. And after we started talking, it just clicked. And we were only supposed to have like an hour, and I think it went like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. We were just going. And
yeah. Let's just go over how we're doing this. So guys, we're doing like test drive always, like we did for Steve. So you can pick 10 ladies, what Steve did, 10 favorite ladies, and then we ask all these ladies who will be interested. Yeah. So 5 ladies say yes, like half, yeah? Half ladies.
I would say there was like 5, and I think 3 said no, and then the other 2, we were still waiting, and you said we can wait, or we can just go from who's already said yes, and she was already on there. She was actually the first one you put down, and I just saw that and like, nope, set it up with her.
Yeah. Steve said, no, we're not waiting anymore. I want a Zoom call with Maria. That's
the person that said yes was the one I was that basically had picked out over a 3-week period. And then after the meeting, we kept talking. There were days she would just message me. She's like, can you talk? And I was kind of surprised because it was outside of when we would normally schedule something up. And she's like, well, I just wanted to see you. And we just start chatting. I mean, we'd have text messages going on. It wasn't like all day, every day. But once we decided to meet, as soon as she came out of the airport, when I picked her up, we were in Krakow.
Yeah,
I saw her, and as soon as I hugged her, it's pretty much you just knew. And then we literally picked up like we knew each other forever. We just hadn't seen each other in like 15 years, and we just from that moment, we just went on like we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah. So basically, guys, Steve picked Maria. We organized for them Zoom video date. It went great. Yeah. How did you feel on this video date with her?
I mean, it's kind of awkward because I like the in-person aspect because you could really get a feel for the person, but you make do with what you have. And but it flowed. I mean, I think we were just talking about anything and everything and just cracking jokes and laughing. I mean, it literally felt like this was somebody you knew since, say, like kindergarten, and then in fifth grade you lost touch with each other, and then you came back in and you just didn't even miss a beat. That's really what it felt like. And
Super.
even after we met in Poland, it was just that way. It literally it felt right.
Yeah, I think you have like personality match. I call you funny couple. You like to joke, very easygoing,
Oh
both
yeah.
both like this, very positive, so very look alike basically in personalities. So that's wonderful. Yeah. How long did you date Maria on distance before you went to meet her in real life?
We started, I want to say it was like late April
Yeah.
or
y-
and
Yeah,
I
you became client in April
yeah.
2023, and then when you met Maria, August or no, before, I think.
I met her in July. So I originally was
July.
planning on going in June. But
Mm-hmm.
she had already a trip planned with her sister
Mm-hmm.
and friend. So we put it off until July. And as soon
Mm-hmm.
as she got back, she's like, "So when do you want to meet?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it at this point." So it was right after 4th of July here. We met up in Poland. She told me she was going to be going into Ukraine after with this trip. So it came down to
Mm-hmm.
between Poland or Romania.
Mm-hmm.
And she's never been to Poland. And so that was a pretty good spot to pick it to meet up
Yeah.
at.
So, so actually, in couple months, you took actions. You flew to meet her,
Yep.
organized everything, flew Maria to Krakow, uh, yeah, and made everything happen. Guys, we suggest after successful Zoom call with lady, when you start basically communicating with her directly, getting to know each other on distance, we suggest no more than 1 to 3 months maximum to personal meeting. Because, yeah, next step is for you to take action and to meet lady in person.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we talked
because,
about it pretty quickly about meeting, and
mhm,
and so it's like, well, when can we meet? And it was like, okay, would be my soonest. I mean, because I still have to plan out a trip and everything, so I need some time to do all of that and then get time
mhm,
off. Um, and so we opted for July because she had her things going on in June. So as soon as she got back from trips with friends and family, we opted to go ahead and meet.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay, and please remember the day when you decided to meet her in real life. How did you feel about her then? And how did you communicate prior to meeting? Like texting, video calls, how often? How did you feel about this communication?
We would text, not like, I mean, we were texting almost every day, but not a lot. A lot of it was good
Mhm,
morning, how's your day? And then a little bit of
mhm.
things. We video called. It probably averaged out to once a week. I
Once
mean,
a
there'd
week?
be
Yeah.
maybe a week we didn't have anything, but the next week we would maybe chat twice that week on a video call. But I think overall it was about once a week. And as we
Mhm,
started getting closer to Poland, and as I was planning out the trip, I would ask her, "Is this something that would interest you?" Because I didn't want to plan everything on what I think would be fun. I wanted to make sure she's got to be included with this because it's both of us there. We were communicating definitely a lot more all the way up until the trip came. Um,
mhm, mhm.
and then once the trip was over, we've been almost every day texting or video calling. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like inseparable at this point.
Yeah, you told me like several hours, even some days you spoke.
There was, yeah,
Right.
right after Poland, we would be
Mhm,
talking for like an hour, and then she's like, I'll call you back. I gotta go, work or take care of something. And then 20 minutes later, my phone's ringing again, and she's calling.
That's
Um,
sweet.
and it was just fun.
Mhm.
And I know that was definitely something we wouldn't be able to sustain because, we have to work and things like that.
Yeah. Uh, Here are some questions. What registered with Match Guarantee already? Yes. How did you know that it was time to meet in person? Some clients really struggle. When is good time? If you can give advice on this, Steve.
Um, I think a lot for probably most of us in the West, it's being able to get the time off. And
Mhm.
for me at work, it was also taking account we were coming up to fiscal year end. So there was a lot of stuff with budgeting and things like that was going
Mhm.
on. So I
Mhm.
had to take those in
Mhm.
account too. So July was kind of, and knowing with what she had going on, but knowing when we wanted to meet, that was pretty early on. I think within a couple of weeks we were talking about, so do
Mhm.
you want to meet? And
Meeting. Good.
how did we really feel it? It's hard to say. It's just like you kind of knew, and it's like, oh, I want to see you. And it's like, yeah, when do we want to meet? And it's like, well, here's what I have going on with work, and what will work out for me. What about you? And so we were trying to get our schedules together to
Mhm.
meet up.
Mhm. So guys, you should actually be talking with your lady about potential meeting if you connect. So she doesn't wonder if this guy is serious, just blah blah blah,
Yeah,
because
one of the things she told me, which will be helpful for everybody after, um,
Mhm.
well, no, I don't know if it was in Poland or right after Poland, is if we didn't meet at that point, we probably would have never worked out. If we would have
Mhm.
put it off a couple more months, she wouldn't have
Yeah,
waited that long, and it wouldn't have worked
yeah,
out,
yeah, yeah,
because she's not like me. We're not just wanting to be in an internet relationship. We actually want to
exactly.
build something and move forward with something.
Yeah, that's why 1-3 months maximum you should meet. Otherwise, it's most likely, yeah, really complicated to develop relationship. Why do you say that, Steve?
Mm,
I
I
don't know.
forgot. Say what?
Uh,
Why she would have said after, if we would have taken longer than the 3 months, it would have. I think it would have not expressed any type of real action, or not like action, or that you're really not serious about building a relationship. That's what I think it would be. Um,
yeah,
it,
yeah. Maria said a relationship would not work, if you would not come to see her. Basically, yeah, yeah. Steve has 3 dogs, yeah, or 2.
two. I had one, but
Cute.
yeah, she crossed the rainbow bridge.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is interesting questions about prenup agreement contract. What do you think?
Well, the giving the state that I live in, um, prenups really don't matter.
Mhm.
The courts will cite it automatically to the woman anyways. No prenup is ironclad. The only thing that I have going for me is anything that would be bringing into a marriage would be mine. So like my home is mine because I'm bringing it with me. Uh, any of my assets or any investments that I have, they would already be mine going into it. So any gains that would come from it would still continue to be mine at that point.
Mhm.
But anything
Mhm.
else about filing a prenup for this is how much money you get or anything like that, the courts 100% side with um, the female party over the male party. Uh, Unfortunately,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
that's part of the reason why I know a lot of men are also looking overseas. Even some people that I know, is because there's a lot of stuff being preached here, with some of the women getting a starter husband, and then a couple years later moving on to the next husband, and then building up their assets that way, and then continuing to move up and build up their net worth, which to me is wrong. I mean, to a degree, I think it's extortion doing that, and there should be laws that are against it. Will I be staying in the U.S.? It's hard to say at this point. I do want to become an expat, and that'll be something that Maria and I will talk about. We want to stay in the U.S. or move into another country. With my job, I'm working on making it 100% remote, to where I just have to come back from time to time, maybe like every 5 or 6 weeks for a week. But yeah, there's things that don't.
Which country?
I mentioned Philippines at one point because you can stretch your dollar 5 to 7 times. But I know Maria wasn't quite keen for that one. So we'll have to figure something out what would work for both of us. She wants warm, not cold. I love to snowboard. So, we got to find a compromise somewhere.
So basically, she's ready to follow you. Basically, whenever you move, she's ready to follow you. It's not necessary for her to be in the United States. It's great.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because her job is 100% remote, and another career path she's looking at, it's travel anyways. So we don't have to sit in any one spot.
Okay, wonderful. And can you share a little bit about your time together on your first meeting in Poland, Krakow?
Krakow.
Krakow.
I picked it because my former boss had visited 2 years prior and was telling me all about it. And so I knew it was a good stop for her on her way to Kyiv. And all the stuff he told me is why I picked it out. So after our first meeting at the airport, because I went to greet her and pick her up, and we go back to our hotel. I had 2 separate rooms and everything for us already booked out. We went out the first night. She wasn't very hungry, but it's like, well, let's go grab some drinks. And of all places that I found for Eastern Europe, is I found a little Mexican restaurant with a bar. Here in California, we have a lot of Latin culture here, so Mexican food is not hard to come by. But I was surprised, and so we ended up there and just enjoying the time, the music, having a couple of drinks, and just talking. The following day, we went to a little museum. It was like an optic illusion museum. So we checked that out, walked around Old Town a bit, or the Old Town Square. And that evening, I had booked us a vodka tasting tour. It was something I asked her if she was down for it. She's like, yeah, I'm up for that.
Maria wanted you to decide yourself where you're going, basically. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I pretty much planned it all out, but there was things I wasn't sure. I would ask her, like, are you okay with this? This is a couple of things I'm looking at. Do you have a preference? And she's like, oh, that sounds fun. Go for it. So it wasn't that I was laying everything out. It's like my way or the highway. I included her on a lot of things. And she would ask, so what is our plan? And I would kind of give it to her. And she's like, okay, that sounds perfect.
Congratulations for you for
our
decision.
No, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we did like a vodka tasting tour. That was pretty fun. We went out and ate that night. And I know Joe had mentioned in one of the live streams, don't take your girl to McDonald's. And I try to avoid McDonald's. We ended up at a little restaurant, had a couple more drinks, and then there was a McDonald's across the square. She's like, I want to go to McDonald's. And I'm like, oh, no. And no, she wanted to get a cheeseburger. So we got a cheeseburger. And the next morning, she got up early and I was sleeping in a little bit. And she texted me, she goes, I went to McDonald's and I got a breakfast. And I'm like, oh, this girl loves McDonald's. Like, okay, so this is cool, because she's really chilling, down to earth. And I still had the order number from the night before, which was 77. And she's like, guess what my number is? And I'm all, I don't know, 78. And she's like, yes. And it was like, it was kind of funny because we had the next number up. And I met one of her friends that she worked with that is living there now. So we did lunch with her, and lunch with her one day and dinner with her another day. We did like a party boat one day, people watching, kind of making fun of the people on the boat, extra drunk. Somebody fell over and it was kind of funny. So we did that. We've gone out to dinners. The one of the favorite ones, which was the day before our last day, I booked this whole day excursion. We went out to this, I'm gonna probably mess the name up, the Zakopan region, kind of like on the border of Slovakia. Yeah. So we went out there, visited the wooden village, which was really cool. Stopped off at a sheep herder's hut. We had that's where the one picture we're sitting on the bench.
Yeah, we have pictures of you.
Yeah. We had smoked sheep cheese with vodka. Polish people love their vodka, so they were giving us vodka with cheese. Then we went into the village, and we took a trolley car up to the top of the mountain, and they had like a luge that you could ride on, and you can control the speed with the handle. And she's in front of me. She's trying to go fast. I'm trying to go fast. There's a guy in front of her who's scared and going slow, and she's like, "What the hell's going on?" And then we ended up at the hot springs for the rest of the day, and we were kind of hanging out there. And at that point, I was definitely like really feeling our connection going. And my aunt had texted me, and she goes, "Did you kiss her yet?" And I'm like, "No, not yet." And she's like, "What's going on here?" It's like, "You've never had this problem." I'm like, "Well, I've learned from the culture. Don't do it too soon."
As a gentleman, yeah, he was behaving.
Yeah, I was behaving myself. It's like, don't do it too soon, but don't wait too long. And I'm like, now here's my conundrum. But after our trip, she told me at that point in the hot springs, she knew, and was just trying to make sure that how I was going to act and behave. And I was a good boy.
Too good. Yeah.
Yeah. The last day we kind of hung out, walked around. We went to the salt mines, which if you ever have an opportunity to go there, it's an awesome place to go to. So we did that tour, had lunch, and then that night I had a romantic dinner planned out for us. So we got all dressed up and went and ate. Halfway through dinner, and she's just looking at me, and she's like, "So, what's your plans?" And I'm like, "Oh, I figure after this we can go walk and go do this and that." She's like, and I knew kind of what she was asking, but I was just kind of playing coy with her. And she's like, "No, so do you want to continue, or do you want to go back and try a different girl?" And I'm like, "Whoa, getting directly to the point."
Straightforward, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, "Well, I'm here. I like you. I mean, we've definitely started building something. Why would we not want to go forward?" And so we kind of set what our groundwork was, and what we were expecting from that point forward is, I wouldn't be pursuing anybody, dating anybody, talking to any other woman, and she would be doing the same thing. And I mean, it was boom. It's not you're casually dating and then, okay, now you're serious. It's either you're serious or you're not. There was no in between, which is nice. And so it's like, okay, we're exclusive, and this is what's going to happen.
Nomad. Steve is digital nomad.
Nice. Yeah. There was somebody I was looking at. There's a guy in one of like the men's channels. I know he probably seen his YouTube channel, but he was living in Georgia and Arizona, and he moved back to Romania. Talking about the expat lifestyle, and then after that, you go find your person. I'm kind of doing it a little backwards, but
yeah, but
I do.
Actually, Spain.
I do have good plans
for digital nomads.
Yeah.
Alan mentioning, and Maria likes Spain. I know, something to consider.
Oh yeah, she has a brother that lives in Spain.
McDonald's is good a la carte.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I've been a fan of quarter pounders for the longest time, and then this got big, and I had to go back in the gym and lose it.
Krakow, Zakopane, High Tatras are awesome combination.
I want to go back. I loved it there, and there's still so much more to see.
Yeah, when I speak with you after your trip, I was texting you, "How are you?" By the way, what did you bring you? Did you bring her present?
I did. So I had a flower. Anybody in the U.S. will know Steven Singer, or hopefully knows Steve or Singer. So they had an actual rose that was preserved, wrapped up in gold leafing. So I brought that. I brought some of her favorite candy, and I brought something else, and I'm totally drawing a blank on what it is that I brought. Oh, it was a necklace I brought. It just a little keepsake, nothing crazy, just a nice little necklace.
for the baby.
And at the end of the trip, after we made our determination, yes, we're going to be an exclusive couple. I had something that I found beforehand, and I bought it more for me as a tangible object to kind of keep my eye on the prize and just go and play the field. I found a glass heart about this big. I think I sent you a picture of it, and it has a cork on it with a key, and then there was a little heart wrapped around it that says, you have the key to my heart. And so it was in a little
I
box, and I
remember.
had,
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Nice.
had the box and I handed it to her, and she's all, "What's this?" And I'm all, "Only open this if you're ready for it." And she's just like ripping the box open real quick. It's like a kid on Christmas. And she pulled it out, and she was surprised with this. And I told her, it's like, I had to get something that was tangible for me. Because anybody says, "Okay, well, I'm giving you my heart," but now you actually have an object you can look at and really see the symbol that's behind it. And I know it meant a lot to her because she was asking me more about it when she was on the bus going into Kyiv.
Yeah, this is something lady remember about you when you give such a, guys sometimes bring in this heart, like pendant in the shape of
Yeah.
heart, and lady wearing it, and remember something like you give this heart from your, key from your heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something she's always keeping in her heart and remember you. And Steve is romantic. Romantic. I see you always romantic presence, and
I try.
nice. I remember you wrote me after trip. I said, "How did you feel about Maria? Did you miss her?" You said it's like missing my missing piece. Yeah, part of me.
Yeah, it was literally after she got on the bus. I walked her to the bus, and I stood there. It was like midnight, and she's like, she was texting me, and as I'm standing there because she's in the bus, she's like, "Go back to the room." I'm like, "No, I'm not leaving until you drive away." And she's like, "You got to get up early to fly home. Go back to the room." And I'm like, "No, I'm not leaving until you drive away." And then as soon as she drove off, it was like literally missing a part of you. And it stayed that way until we met on our next trip. And
okay, let's talk about second trip. So, alcohol is part of their culture, yeah, in Poland. But should you encourage her to drink hard liquor?
I mean, no, I mean, it wasn't like an encouragement. It wasn't like a lot of alcohol. There was food in it as well, like the Polish dumplings, and we got to eat as we were going through. And it wasn't like we were just doing shots. We learned about the history of the Polish vodka, where things came from, the differences between like potato vodka and then grain vodka and things like that. And there was a lot of people that were there also. So we got to sit around good company, and we had a tour, like a walking tour with it as well. And it wasn't like we were getting like full on shots. It was little tiny caps. So if we had anything at the most, it probably came out to like 2 shots for the whole thing, maybe 3 tops.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your second meeting with Maria. So you took her on romantic Mediterranean cruise. So when was that?
That was that was October. I would say about a month ago, but it literally seems like yesterday. So after she left, and it was pretty much, "I'm missing. I want to be back with you."
Steve and Maria on the cruise.
Yeah, I pretty much like 2 weeks after we left Poland, I booked a cruise. And I'm like, "Do you want to go on a cruise, or have you ever been on a cruise?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, "Do you want to go?" She's like, "Okay." And
So
I booked
you
it.
initiated, right? You initiated.
Yeah, because we were both just already in a year, kind of like, not like heartbroken, maybe like homesick or heartsick, I guess you want to put it that way.
Heartsick, yeah.
So I booked it. It was the day I booked it, it was 90 days to when that cruise was coming. And we were both like, "Oh my God, 90 days." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's going to go by fast. I got work." And some days went by quickly. You're like, "Oh, wow, it's 62 days." And then other days you're like, "Oh my God, it's 62 days, or, 50 more days to go. When is it going to get here?" But it was a cruise from Italy. My dogs are getting crazy. It was a cruise in Italy. We left Ravenna, We went through Sicily, Naples. We had Rome,
Yeah, my
Pisa, like
second
Florence,
meeting.
Pisa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I tell you guys, Steve is very romantic, like straight away. Cruise.
it was Pisa.
Because you for sure about Maria, yeah, you was sure already
Yeah,
you want committed relationship with this girl, and yeah.
I mean, I had a friend that helped me out with it, so it wasn't like. So I had originally looked at the cruise. I knew how long everything was going to be, and my friend who has a timeshare, they have a vacation site they could book everything through. So he's like, "Look, I can get your cruise like 80% off," and I'm like, "Well, if I can do 80% off, now I can go spend like 3 more days in Rome, and we can go do Rome." So now I'm looking at now. Let's extend our trip even further. And it just gave us more things to do and more things to go out on do stuff on the cruise. And plus, I helped my friend out. The cruise, he got a bunch of points to apply for his timeshare. So it was a win-win for both of us. So we had the base cruise, and then I booked us up 3 days in Rome beforehand. So we went to the Colosseum, we did the Vatican, walked around. The Cirque. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name now. It was where they did the chariot races outside the Colosseum. They had like a farmer's market going on there that one of the days we were there. So we went down, we had like fresh prosciutto, salami, pepperoni, cheese. I mean, we're just going through, they're giving away samples. We're just eating everything. And there'd be like some cheese, you take a bite of it and keep a straight face. You give it to me to try it, and then I'd bite into it, and then I'd have this awful face. Like, what the hell am I eating? And she'd start laughing. I'm like, why would you give me this if it was so bad? And she just starts laughing. She goes, because I wanted you to try it. So we kind of went through there, and then took the train to Ravenna, which is outside of Venice, and did our cruise. Spent the day in Sicily. We went to Pompeii and Naples one day. Actually, Napoli. I should get the name right.
Included in the cruise, yeah, route of the cruise.
That was the cruise stops there, and I booked a whole bunch of excursions as well. And so we did Pompeii and Napoli. The day we did Rome, we stayed on the ship because we had already done Rome prior to getting on the boat. So I had booked us up couples massages. And then we went into the port city and walked around a little bit because we had some time to kill. The next day we stopped at Florence and Pisa, but I had another couples massage book because I couldn't get up into the
your dog.
My crazy dog.
He wants to participate here in interview.
Yes, come here. There you go. I wanted to go up to the Pisa Tower because the last time I was there, I didn't get a chance to go up. But you had to book the time you would know you were going to be going into it to go up to the top, and I didn't know what time we were going to show up. And so I booked another couples massage for us, like a massage body scrub thing, and we just hung out on the ship and walked around the port city there for a bit. The next day we were in France, in Marseille. It was a Sunday, so Marseille's pretty much closed. But Aix-en-Provence, we went up to. That was a pretty cool little town. The last day we were in Barcelona, and that's where the port ended. And so we kind of walked around, and we were just exhausted at that point. And had lunch, hung out, and I took her to the airport that night because she was flying home for work in the morning.
So it was quite the extended trip, yeah, like second trip.
It was. I was gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, and on that trip, that's a trip that when you had your first fight, right? Can you share how you made it through?
It was a disagreement. If you really want to get to know somebody, and do it on a cruise, because if you get into an argument and get kicked out of the cabin, you have nowhere to go. You're not going to be able to sleep out in the common area, and you have no other room to get. I do it as a joke, but if you're together every day for 10, 14 days, that's in any normal relationship. You can rub each other the wrong way, and it was. For me, I thought it was a little thing to get upset about, but I got her point, and I
Mhm.
could have handled things a little differently and pushed some buttons and really upset her. But we went back to our cabin, we talked through it, and it didn't take much. I was thinking it was like
Yeah.
5, 6 minutes. We talked through it, and then we were fine. I think one of the photos you have where I'm in a black shirt. It was a formal night that night, and she had a dress on. That was after everything was done and over. I had kind of ripped the tie
Mhm.
off in a coat. It was like midnight at that point. I was done being dressed up. Um, but yeah, we were good. We were having a blast.
Okay, wonderful. You
Yeah, I mean, we talked
both.
through it. There was no
Mhm.
yelling or anything. We talked through it. I listened to what she had to say, make sure I understood her, and then I shared my sides of it, and she understood, and then everything was kosher, and we were right back to normal.
Yeah, communication is a key.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, and how is Maria English? Did you have any, challenges with that? Yeah.
Only challenges I would say I have is probably through some of like the American slang or some of the American jokes that she probably wouldn't get, and I would have to kind of stop and explain it, and then she would
Mhm.
get it. I mean, maybe it kind of added to the humor for me, but uh,
Uh-huh.
but that's about it. And those are things that I had to be mindful of, that she's not going to always understand the slangs that we have.
Mhm.
So those were things I was trying to be.
She will learn when if she will
Yeah,
be in the
she
lab,
will
she
learn, but
will.
otherwise her English was fine.
I would say her English quite fluent, right?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
good.
very.
So, how would you rate her English for yourself from 1 to 10?
I mean, if I gave 10, if she, like, knew, like, all the slang and everything, then that would be a
Uh-huh.
10. I'd say she's more like a 9,
Okay.
because her main job, she communicates with people in America, so they wouldn't put her on these projects if her English was
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah. Any advices maybe to guys about this language barrier, maybe this language misunderstanding, how to
I
overcome?
found just ways to maybe re-explain something so she would understand it, like on the slang. Um,
Different words
yeah,
or
oh,
phrases.
like one of them, I remember I said something on a morning on the cruise. I was just joking around because we had like mimosas for breakfast, and I'm all hair of the dog. And wasn't even hungover or anything. It was just something that me and my friends did. And I had explained what hair of the dog was. So I mean, it was kind of comical, but so there's these, like little slangs that she wouldn't know.
Mhm,
But if I
mhm,
still wasn't able to convey something right, I think I only pulled out the translator once and ran a word to show her. But I always figured out a way to retrans or re-explain what it is.
mhm, mhm. Basically, rephrase and explain in different words is good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I always told her Google's my friend, so if I need it, I'll pull it out.
Google, my friend too, actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
not enough partying.
Yeah. We don't even hair of the dog. Oh my God. This is true. So what are your future plans with Maria? As I understood, you're already planning Maria trip to California. She applied already for US visa, right? How is the
For
process
a
going?
travel visa.
Tourist
So
visa. Okay.
yeah, so
Mhm.
she had an agency that helped her get, I want to say, into the UK where she's at now, and then they helped her get her Canadian visa, the travel visa,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
and she has right now her paperwork in. We're waiting for the interview day, which I think is in March, for her US travel visa. So once she
Yes.
has that, then she's free to come over here.
Yeah, a little bit long period, let's say, waiting, yeah, for interview.
Just a little bit.
In UK, yeah, in UK embassy, US
I
embassy in
think if
UK.
she could have done it like in Germany or something like that, it probably would have been a
Mm-hmm.
lot faster because they're able to handle that volume. But London, it
Mm-hmm.
was
Yeah,
as
very
fast
big.
as the appointments were coming up and she was clicking on them, they were filling up that fast. Um, so she managed to
Mhm.
get one in March.
Yeah, maybe you can reschedule, agency can reschedule somehow for early
That's
period
what
if
I'm hoping.
somebody cancel. Yeah, okay, wonderful. So she already has Canadian basically visa. She has
Yeah,
UK
so she's already free.
documents. She travel to places basically. Yeah,
Yeah. So, and the
no
agency that was
problem.
helping her with her visa stuff, they said because she already has her Canadian travel visa, There's no reason why she can't get the US one at this point, because she's
Yeah.
already got one that's pretty like something predominant or prestige. Getting the US one's not an issue.
Yeah. You
We talked
decided.
about the U for you, but
Yeah.
I can't have her stay here and then not be able to go see her family, because I mean,
Yeah.
her family is very important to her, and that would be
Yeah.
wrong for me to say you have to come here and can't go home, because if she leaves, then she can't come back. So that's the whole point of the travel visa.
Okay, guys, you for you is a humanitarian program, Uniting for Ukraine, that U.S. government offering to Ukrainian people. So it's actually very easy to get approved, your lady, by Uniting for Ukraine, U4U, during 1 month, absolutely free application that most of actually our clients using this Uniting for Ukraine, because it saves you time, money, basically. Yeah, but this is if you actually decided to stay together, because this program for 2 years. So basically, lady goes and you get married.
If you bring somebody over on it and then you get married, it's pretty much advised to wait 6 months before you do it. This is from talking to lawyers, because then they can look at it as a possible visa fraud, which you don't want to have that, because then that'll hurt you.
This is
but
United
if you wait,
Ukraine, you tell me.
For that. So if you wait 6 months and then you were to marry, especially if you're really serious, then you have to take an account for filing an adjustment status, which could take anywhere from 12 to 18 months before that even gets finalized. So she would have to be okay not being able to go home for 2 years. It's just something for anybody who's looking at that route to really think about it. And to me, it wouldn't be right to ask her to no, you can't see your family for 2 years, because if somebody told me that, I would tell them, yeah, sorry, that ain't happening, and they wouldn't be my person. And so she's basically said, if something happens, she needs to go home. She's got to be able to go, not wait for permission to leave to come back.
She's worrying about mom.
Yeah.
Normal.
I mean, her family is going to be my family one day, and I do worry about them. I'm always asking how's things going with everybody, and make sure mom's okay, dad, and her siblings and stuff.
So Maria now in Ukraine, and you was asking me, you wanted to send flowers to her, to mom. Maria mom right now sick, unfortunately, having COVID, right? So she would like it to cheer up a little bit, to show care and attention to Maria and her mom.
Asked her.
She will be mother-in-law future. So did you send her flowers already?
I had after I had asked you for the place to send through, I got a hold of Maria and I'm like, hey, I want to send you guys something. Are you still at your mom? She's like, I'm getting ready to leave to Kyiv right now, or that night, or the next. Was that? I'm trying to keep track of all the time. So it was already that night. So she was leaving to Kyiv in the morning, and she didn't know where she was going to be staying at, between her friends or family or at a hotel. And so it was the hold off for the moment, and hopefully she gets back to her mom's before she has to leave. So it's like I told her I was going to send her something, and the gesture was good. It's just the timing was off. If I would have thought of it like 2 days prior, I could have got it there in time. So it's not that I'm definitely still want to be able to send something. I just want to try to get the timing right.
Yeah. And have you and Maria talked about having children? And is having children important for you?
We have, and I've always seen myself as having more. I have a daughter; she's 23, but I'm still open for having more. I mean, I'm 47 going on 18, so I still have another 80 years to go, right? And she's open for kids, and she's asked me, how many kids do you want? And I told her, 1 or 2 more is fine, or however many she's looking at. I mean, I'd like to have 1 more. And then there's another time in the cruise, she's asked me, she goes, so how many kids do you want? And I'm all, I don't know, how many people are on a hockey team? And she just looked at me and she goes, I'm not having that many kids. I go, I want to start a hockey team here, we'll have a family hockey team going.
Yeah. So get ready.
Yeah.
Okay, super. Steve, can you share your top 3 tips to be successful in long distance relationship?
The very first one, it was preached to me a long, long time ago, and it never really set in until probably like 3 or 4 years ago, is communication. because
Mhm.
long distance, that's all you have is you have to be able to talk. And some days it's going to be easy and you'll chat every single day. You might video call every day, maybe 5, 10 times a day. I mean, it's happened.
Mhm.
Texting on a regular basis. And then there might be some dry spells where you're going through because one of you are going through a challenging time, and you got to try to be as supportive as you can. But that communication definitely has to be there, because if that's not strong,
Mhm.
everything's going to fall apart. It's a
Yeah.
big difference. Like if you're in person, you can kind of chat in the evenings when you get home and things like that. So you're building that communication along with everything else. But when you're
Mhm.
apart, that is the big one, is you got to talk. And the best part with being at a distance, if you do run into issues, you really learn how to work through that through talking and communicating. Um, that's
Yeah.
where words really, really come in to play.
Yeah. So that's one tip, and another 3 tips.
Man,
Do you have anything else?
uh, I mean, I think it all winds up going back to communication one way or another. Sharing how you feel about each other, um, sending things. I've been sending flowers when she's home. Um, I
Yeah.
probably haven't sent them as often as I could have, but I have been sending flowers out of the time she's been home at least once a month. I think
Mhm.
that's she's really only been home like 2 months out of the since Poland and now, but definitely sending something, um, and then obviously
Yeah.
communication is a big one, and always planning for your next meeting. Like now,
Mhm.
I'm going
Mhm.
over for Christmas, but it's not really a vacation. It's just we're going to be together. I like to call it playing house. So she'll be working, I'll be working, um, and it's just to see what life is like, just in general. I mean, we already
Mhm.
kind of know what life's going to be like, but you want to know what your day to day is going to be.
Yeah, actually, good advice is about, basically taking about future together, about next meeting. Show that you're basically serious about, developing this relationship. Communication, yeah, and basically romantically pursuing lady, like flowers, maybe some gifts. Show that you care, basically. Ukrainian women, they appreciate care of men.
Yeah.
And I would add, action should be compatible with your words.
Yep.
What you say, you do. This is super important.
I
Action.
mean, we're all human, so I'll admit I slip, and it happens. Like I said,
Mhm.
I know I probably could have done more in sending her things than I have, um, but I've definitely made sure that she's been taken care of one way or another, and she knows that I'm there for her and her
Mhm.
support to take care of her. I saw the one about the best experience for both of us. Um,
Uh-huh. Mhm.
wow. I think out of the experience is seeing her the first time again when um, she's coming out of the secured area at the airport. So like in Italy, or when we were in Rome, and she come walking out with her bag, and just it's like you see her in video, but there's a big difference between looking at her on my phone or my computer versus looking at her in person. And you can kind of just see the look and the change. It's like once she sees you, and you can see just like this, just like, wow, hey, there he is. I mean, that's kind of the I think the best experience that you can't put a dollar on that, and
Mhm.
just being with each other.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So romantic, Steve. Okay. Next question. How was your coach on your journey? That's me, I guess. Hey.
Oh, I've talked to you a couple of times before I went to Poland. I think we talked just to make sure I had
Yeah.
everything covered. Um, and we talked afterwards and how things went, and then I talked to you. Actually, you the funny part was when we were
Ah,
in on our cruise, and we were sitting at this little restaurant eating like prosciutto, a plate and cheese plate, and drinking wine, and we were talking, and Maria's like, "Luba's going to text you and ask you how the trip was when you get home," and then my phone goes ding. And I laughed. She goes, "That's Luba," and I'm like, "I know that's Luba." And ding, and I flip it up, and it was you
So
ask and I
funny.
got you. Let's see how things are going. And we picked out the pictures that together and sent them to you.
Hmm.
And then I remember not too long ago, we kind of did a catch up and I didn't pay attention to the time. It was like 11 o'clock at night for me. But no, I mean, you definitely help put some perspective in everything that I've been doing on my
Hmm.
journey outside, my own learning and research and trying to understand the culture.
Hmm.
And then same even like with the picks when we went through everything, it's like, well, this person, is there was the ones that we were waiting for was like you said they didn't have the best track record in really responding back uh, for meetings, and then you're like, well, this one, sure, maybe not this one, type
Hmm.
thing.
Feedback about
'Cause-
ladies here,
yeah,
because we know each lady here. Yeah, that we have. Yeah, yeah.
so it does help when you kind of build up your list, and of course,
Hmm.
still go with your own gut on the person that you decide you want to talk to, because you never know.
Yeah, listen your gut feeling when you're making choosing ladies even. Yeah. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Especially we communicated a lot at the beginning, it's normal at the beginning, many questions, a lot of help, you want to understand how to pursue lady and everything, yeah.
Yeah,
And then kind of everything going well, communication become a little bit more quiet, but then of course, yeah, if you have questions, always welcome, you know.
yeah, and I know. I mean, it's right now. It is the normal ebb and flow of a relationship. You have your good
Hmm.
times,
Yeah,
and then you got
yeah, yeah.
challenges you got to work through because one person, I mean, I get busy, I get stressed, you have everything like the world's dropping down on you, and it'd be no different for her. And then you kind of start slipping, and then it takes one
Hmm.
of us to say something to the other, hey, what's going on? But that all goes back to communication. It's like, this is what I got going on. This is kind of what's being dealt with. So there,
Hmm.
at least there's always a no. Uh, or if I'm really busy with work, I'll let her know. It's like I got a lot of work, or I have this, and if she's busy, she kind of does the same thing. And if we feel like there's something lacking, we're not afraid to bring it up with each other.
Hmm. Steve, my issue is sexual chemistry. Roses don't really interest me in any way. Did she engage sexual feeling in you? And how did this happen?
Mm.
Very private question. You still
Well,
cannot.
I think the easiest thing is, as men, we're visual. So if I'm picking somebody out on a physical appearance, obviously that is something. I mean, it's not like that's the one thing I'm thinking about when I look at them, but there's a visual or physical appeal. Um,
Hmm.
she'd probably kill me if she ever hears this, but when we were at the hot springs,
She doesn't hear, I hope, no? No.
when we were at the hot springs, and so that it was like a co-ed locker area, and then they had changing rooms you would go to go change. And so I went off into a little changing booth, and I put on swim trunks, and I had a swim shirt that I wear, and I'm putting stuff into my locker, and she come walking out, and she had a bikini on, and I knew she heard me because I realized how bad it was. I like
Wow.
looking out of the side of my eye because I didn't want to turn and start staring, but I had that outside of my eyes. I was like, holy shit. And she heard it and she just put a big smile on her
That's
face.
a
I was like,
compliment. Yeah.
damn.
Big
And
compliment.
one I kind of saw, I was like, yeah. I mean, that would maybe
Hmm.
explain enough there.
Yeah. Yeah. You
But
answered
that
the
was,
question.
I
Wow.
mean, regardless of what she wore, whether it was a skirt or jeans or anything, I mean, everything she wore, she looked very good in. Um, and her appeal that she had put out there was um, as how she
Hmm.
carried herself. It was very feminine. It wasn't like provocative or promiscuous. It was very feminine the way she carried herself and dressed herself. But after I saw her
Hmm.
in a two piece, I was like, damn. I
Okay.
mean, if you're in the US, then you understand
We are
if
hot.
you what you
Yeah.
kind of see and versus what you get there, you're like, huh.
Yeah. Did you feel chemistry before you met? Here's a question.
I would say yes, because there
Mhm.
were days when we didn't really have anything on. It's like, hey, let's talk sometime this week, and then we get an idea what our schedule looked like. Um, but she would just text me out of the blue, "Hey, can you talk?" And it's like, "Sure." And she's like, "Well, I was doing this here, but I wanted to get away because I wanted to see you." So that chemistry, I mean, the chemistry kind of already started after the initial chat we had, and that was just things that just reinforced it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say the chemistry was already there before we got there. So once
Mhm.
we were
Mhm.
together, it was like we didn't miss a beat. No different like if I was talking to my dad or my cousin, which we talk on a regular basis, and we can go 2 years and not see each other. And when we do, it's just like, hey, I just saw you yesterday, but uh, we didn't. We're staying in constant communication.
Great love story, Steve. Oh, okay. Okay, Steve. Was your investment in Match Guarantee worth it?
Yeah, and the kicker was is I had actually looked at Match Guarantee when I originally started my journey. That would have been back in 2020, sounds right. And when I looked at what the value for the services were, and I'm like, well, I could do that, on my own, cheaper, and it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
And if I would have just went with it then, sure, I would have been there. But there's a journey that we all have to take, and I had to kind of go through it. And I did learn things about the Slavic culture. It was a little costly, but was a
Mhm.
learning adventure. And if I didn't go through the route that I went, I wouldn't have met Maria if I would have done it 3 years ago.
Exactly. So you already for these 3 years spent 15, I mean, wasted
Yeah, so I
$50,000
call it.
and 3 years of your life.
It
You
was
got
coaching. We'll call it that. I mean, I learned a lot. So, um,
wonderful.
regardless if they were scamming or whatnot, uh, it was still an experience, and it's an opportunity to learn something, either about the culture or something about myself. Um, and to me, those are invaluable. You can't put a price tag on that.
Mhm. Okay, super. Um, Overall, how would you rate experience with Match Guarantee on scale from 1 to 10? Would you be happy to recommend us to your single friends?
I would. I've even told my dad, it's like, if you're looking to
Your
get
dad?
yourself a good one, I got a good site for you and we'll get you hooked up.
Uh-huh. So your dad is single. Yeah, he's welcome to register.
No, he's not single, but you know,
No,
I joke with him.
seriously, seriously.
Yeah, but no, I would. Eh,
Yeah.
And there are people at my work that kind of been through my journey, and they've seen
Mhm.
pictures of Maria, and it's funny that they're like, "There's no way that's real," and then I come back with pictures with her, and they're like, "Yeah, let's see how long this lasts," and they're seeing where it's going, and they see more pictures, and they'll be like, "Okay, well, what does she look like without makeup on?" I'm like, "There is no makeup on." That's just her, and they're blown away because we're used to seeing people like a canvas. I mean, there's not a real politer way I could say it, but with a lot of makeup on. So, and when that comes
Yeah.
off, you're like, you don't look
Mhm.
like this. Um, what you see there is exactly what she looks like.
Yeah, yeah. So how would you rate your experience with Match Guarantee on scale from 1 to 10?
Oh, 10 for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you. You got your result.
Yeah, I
That's
got my
most
result.
important. You got your result?
I did my homework and did my due
Yeah,
diligence,
yeah.
and
Steve, what is your number one piece of advice to American and Western men who really want to create a traditional value marriage and family, but have given up looking in their country?
I think that message is already starting to get out there. Is
Mhm.
get your passport and fish in a different pond. Um, but I think the big one is I mean, do it for love, but at the same time, do it because you're looking for something better as well. I know a lot more people are becoming expats and things like that. So look at also being able to enrich your life. If you can just get out of your normal bubble that you're in and see the
Mhm.
world for what it is, you'll realize it's a lot. There's a lot more out there, and it makes you really appreciate all the things that can be offered. And there's things at home I see God could be much, much better, and there's other things like, hey, we got some things that are actually really, really great compared to other areas. So you kind of
Mhm.
learn to be more appreciative to everything. So if anything, get your passport and just go see the world. And if you do happen to find your love, then do it, because how many people are on the planet? Like 8 billion people, and half of them are women. I mean, the odds are there for you to find somebody. It may not be in your hometown, in your state, or in your country, but somebody's out there for you.
Yeah. And maybe in other country like Ukraine, you will
Yeah,
find somebody with different quality that you used to.
yeah, definitely a
Yeah.
different quality. I mean, I'm not even from the U.S. I've been here since I was a year old. I was born in Germany. So my mom was German, my dad's American, my grandma was German, my grandpa was American. So we have that history of the differences of cultures being blended together, and then moving to a new country. So I do have those. I've seen what my mom has struggled with when she came over, not knowing the language and learning
Mhm.
everything and trying to cope without family being around. Because back then in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have the internet like we do now. We don't have WhatsApp. We don't have smartphones that are as powerful
Mhm.
as a computer to be able to talk to people on a moment's notice.
Yeah. Question is what your commonality between you and Maria? Like,
Commonalities. Wow. um,
yeah.
One of the big ones that I know for sure is she's I mean, fitness we both have. I need to get back
Mhm.
into the gym because I've been lacking. But she's doing like self-defense classes, and I'm in martial arts. I've been doing Kuksuwan since 2011, I think. So about 12 years. So I have my first degree black belt, and
Mhm.
I'm working towards my second degree. So that's something that definitely interests her. We talked about. Um, and the travel and just kind of learning the cultures and things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those are some of the big things that we share, and we're still learning stuff about each other. I mean, as I've told like my friends and like my dad, I'm never going to ever fully know her 100%, because it doesn't matter how much time I could take. I could take 5 weeks. I can take 50 years. I'm never going to know her 100%. It's a lifelong journey. I have to get what I need. Let me grab this little booker because he's begging. uh,
Mhm.
I have to. I mean, I do enough in what I need to know, going through all the different seasons to make sure I know who she is
Mhm.
as a person, how she handles the things to make the decisions I need. And then after that, it's just we grow, we learn, and we figure
Mhm.
things out. Um, like another commonality I would say is she's a very hard worker, like I am. Um, when she gets into her work, she's very dedicated to it, and she has I think she's got a better work ethic than I do, and I thought I had a pretty good work ethic.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. And one last, yes, Steve. Yeah, here's question. How do you feel about this aspect of Ukrainian culture? When you marry, take responsibility for the entire family.
That just kind of my mentality ever since I was a little kid.
Mhm.
That to me goes back to, as I call, the 50s era. The man provides, goes out, works hard, takes
Mhm.
care of his family. And it's not necessarily always just your wife and your children. It can also stem down to the rest of your family as well, like in-laws and your parents. You do what you have to do to make sure everybody's taken care of in one way or another. And I did mention it once to Maria, if we were living here together, because she worries about her mom having her come and stay with us while the war's going on, just so her mom doesn't want to leave. But
Mhm.
I'm always thinking about all these things. Is it's our families are going to join together one day, and we're all going to be one happy dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Uh, but everybody has to be taken care of somehow at one point or another.
So basically, if mom agreed to leave and you agree to
Yeah, if
basically
mom says,
bring her,
I don't want to be here.
yeah.
We do what we have to do to get her here.
Yes.
The hidden
Yeah.
shit test.
Yes. Yes, Steve passed many tests already. So basically, you are knowing Maria like already like 8 months. So it's
Yeah, like
like,
8, 9
yeah,
months, right around there.
nine already. Yeah, yeah. So you passed many shit tests if you
Yeah,
hear
I,
with her.
I'm still here. We're still going.
Yeah, you're still going. Uh, okay. So one important big question for you, Steve. Any idea of wedding date yet?
Not yet, because that would be probably more. Well, there would be some factors that come into that, depending on how we would do this. I've thought about different things. I would have to get my mom her passport because she's still a German citizen. So we're talking. Uh,
Oh, so that's one that we choose. Yeah,
yeah, that's the one I wound up getting.
it's beautiful one. So they tailor
Um,
it for you. I see they put this diamond. Yeah, we were exchanging actually, WhatsApp chat with Steve, pictures
yeah.
and this with the ring. Yeah, beautiful.
Well, the funny thing when I picked it out after I picked the first one, which was a promise ring, and I was talking with Joe and
Yeah,
Anna and on one of
yeah.
the streams that I call it stream crashing. Um, and Anna's like, we don't do promise rings. If you're going to make a promise for this, and just why not propose? And that was something that was always in the back of my mind.
Mhm,
That's not a common thing in there. I was looking at buying some time for something completely different that I was going to do. Um,
mhm,
but she was right, and it was something I was thinking about. So when I was at the jewelry store, I was looking at the ring that I bought, and one of the sales agent ladies um, was looking at it. She goes, "Well, what you have, I wouldn't really consider it as any type of engagement." And then
mhm,
another lady's like, "Yeah, I mean, you'd be better off changing it up to something else." Fortunately, this store that they don't do commission, so you're not getting pressure to buy anything crazy. And I was talking about the culture, and another guy heard me, so they called him over, and he's dating a Russian lady.
mm,
For 4 months.
interesting.
So he's all, "Is she Russian?" I'm all, "Ukrainian, he goes Slavic. It's the same thing." He's all, I know what you're talking about. And so we were kind of back and forth talking about the culture and about his girlfriend and Maria.
Mhm,
And so I started picking out the band and a stone. He's like, "You don't need to go big on a stone because that's not the culture." Um,
mhm.
if they get crazy and they want some huge diamond, run for the hills and things like that.
No, I think this ring looks good. I mean, pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
Looks good.
But so I was looking at like the do marrying overseas
Mhm.
because if you marry over here on a travel visa, again,
Oh,
it can turn into a potential visa fraud case. So marrying over there, filing for an S1, and then having her come over properly would be the way to go. Um, but I'm looking at all this stuff. It's like, well, you have to have all this paperwork, especially for me because I have a divorce under my belt, and then you have to get it all translated, and you got to go to the consulate. And I'm like, Jesus,
yeah,
is this even worth
yeah.
it? But
So,
Denmark is the Las Vegas of
uh-huh.
Europe,
Mhm,
and they're like, "Yeah,
yeah.
just give us this, give it to in English. We don't care. We can go, in a sense, maybe marry there, and then go actually have a ceremony anywhere, and we don't have to worry about dealing with all the paperwork." Um,
Mhm,
that was
mhm.
something I thought about, but that's conversations her and I will have to have.
Yes, Steve, could be significant financial investment for your lady and her family. How do you see money in the relationship?
Mm, in what way on money? Because I can go probably like 50 different ways with it.
If you can specify, Kurt. Yeah, and Steve will answer these questions about age gap.
Age
Um,
gap's a
it's
pretty easy one.
it's like
My
13, right? Like 13, 14 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't discussed it. So she has no issues with the age gap, and she doesn't care what anybody else thinks about it either. I have people that I know, and even in family, they're up to a 19-year different in age gap, and their relationships worked out great in the end. One of them that I know, they actually have a 5-year-old boy now, and their age gap is pretty good. So. She has no
Yeah,
issues with it. I have no issues with it. I don't act my age. I act like I'm 12.
yeah.
I still run,
I'll say that.
I still run around active. I mean, she knows I joke. I try to have fun. Which will take me to a funny story on the cruise. So this gives you an idea how I like to have fun sometimes, not in a wild way. So on the cruise, they have like little game shows from time to time, and so were doing a scavenger hunt. Um, I'll hit the family one here in a second as well, but that's a good point that you brought up. So they had the scavenger hunt. They broke us up into 4 teams. And so one of them was like the first team that could bring up 3 shoelaces would win points. And so people are ripping shoelaces out of their shoes. First team that can show somebody that has 2 tattoos, you would win points. And it's like we're competing against each other. And so one of them, they said the first team that could bring up 3 pairs of pants from men would win points. And people are all standing there. They're looking at each other. And Maria's laughing, thinking it's funny. And I already had my shoes off because I had taken shoestrings out for one of the things that I was restringing my shoes. And nobody's doing anything. And I'm like, really? I just ripped the belt, dropped trowel, and I'm running up there with my pants. And then all of a sudden, all the other guys start seeing me doing it. So everybody's dropping trowel and running up with pants. It was the funniest thing. And she's just laughing. I'm all, look at that. I just stripped down on a boat in front of a whole bunch of people. And she's like, well, you made that choice. And I'm like, and it was funny too.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of like my character.
Yeah.
But her family knows about me. Then
Sure.
something that she's never shared in the past with her family, with anyone. So she ended up sending a picture to her mom, to her sister and brother, and they commented. They said I look normal, which I don't know if that's a compliment or maybe that's bad.
Yeah.
But I think she said her sister asked, when's the wedding?
Yeah. So when is the wedding?
Yeah, her sister had asked. That's why we were on the cruise.
So this is question. When is the wedding? Normal is a compliment.
Okay,
Yeah?
I'll take the compliment,
compliment. Yeah. So maybe closer to summer, yeah? Something like that, you can do wedding.
Yeah, again, it'll be just see what she's comfortable and ready to do. Because, I mean, like I said, we can do something early on with an elopement if we wanted to get the S1 visa process going, because that's 12 to 15 months. I don't know anybody that I can possibly ask to pull strings. And even in my position, I can't. There's nobody I know that could help speed that up. Like I said, Denmark, you can do the elopement and then paperwork's done. We have a valid marriage certificate, and then we can have an actual like religious ceremony or a ceremony with the family and everything after the fact, and just not say we ever eloped early, and we can just let them believe that was the day we're getting married. Or tell them. I mean, it doesn't matter. But
okay, here's questions from Kurt. Yeah, so basically he would like to ask if you that for you it will be significant investment basically to support Maria, her family. How do you see this? Because you was alone, had comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah, so for me, it's not going to hurt me in any way to be able to take care of her. That's partially with my position, with where I work and stuff. I mean, I'm in cybersecurity, so there is a little bit of a comfort that comes with that. And I know Maria said, she wants to try snowboarding. So if she doesn't like it, she doesn't want me to stop. So there's my aspects of my few hobbies that I have. She wants me to continue to do, not to ever stop because of her if she's not interested in it. So me maintaining my lifestyle that I have and my few toys that I have isn't an issue. Making sure her family's taken care of is not an issue. We've talked about how she would see her role in the relationship. Does she want to continue to work? Does she want to just be a stay-at-home mom? And the biggest thing that she's told me, she just wants to know we have kids, and she takes that time off for bonding, that she knows she's taken care of, and I can do that. And so that won't be an issue. It's like I told her, we're both working. That just means it's more money coming in and more things we can go out and do. Definitely much, much more vacations. Instead of maybe doing 2 vacations a year, we're both working. We can do like 5 vacations a year, or we could do something really extravagant on a vacation or things like that.
Yeah.
But, as for what I make, I can take care of them with no
Yeah.
issues.
So you prepared for that, and you have
Yeah.
resources, basically.
I wouldn't have jumped on this journey if I didn't think I was going to be
Sure.
able to be prepared for it.
Sure. Wonderful. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? Yeah. Nice couple. I agree, Carlos. Very nice couple. And Steve, he got successful with his first lady. We have many couples like this, and we're always happy when we see our first date couple, as we call, so that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Very
I mean,
happy for you.
if you're ever wondering and you have to question, is this right or not, and you're questioning it on a regular basis, maybe the person you're with might not be the right person. Because you shouldn't have to sit there and be like, is this right? Is this really my person? Because if you're really asking yourself those questions, just stop and think about it for a second. If you've seen a friend that was with somebody, it's not going somewhere, have the honest conversation with yourself. You're not going to hurt. I mean, her feelings might be hurt, but between us, we talked about it, is we didn't think it was right. We would rather walk away early on than to draw it out and then be hurt later on. So definitely, if you're having those questions with someone, you're kind of just in the early stages of chat and you're not 100% sure. And then even after your meeting, if you're definitely not sure, just say, hey, you're a great person. It's really great to get to know you, but I don't think we're going to be probably the best match or anything like that. Obviously, virtually you get one feel, but in person you'll get the true feel of the person, especially if you spend like a week with them or 2 weeks.
Yeah, you spent significant time with her on this trip, so
Yeah,
you were living together, basically. Yeah, Maria is modern Ukrainian woman, very understanding, and look her work together with her future husband.
Yeah, and to me, that's just kind of what a relationship should be.
Yeah, and at the same time, she would like family very much, and this is her
Yeah.
priority. Husband, love, children. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it's not going to be picture perfect. We're going to have our problems. We're going to have disagreements. If we didn't have disagreements and we didn't have problems, I would be really scared and really worried, because that would be a huge red flag.
Yeah.
No children. She has her godchildren, which is her nieces, that she treats and takes care of like her own.
She's taking care a lot about
she understands it.
Nieces, she takes care a lot. I know. Yeah.
So having her own, I know it's definitely something she wants.
Of course. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for being today with us, for being brave to share your story. And we wish you good luck on your proposal coming on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
and of course,
it's planned for Christmas or sometime in that week. I'll just see how things play out.
And we wish you lifelong family happiness with Maria. So we're waiting for, I will be waiting for your feedback. How it went.
No, I think we were
fingers crossed here.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for this interview, and we will see you back here on live together with Maria after your marriage proposal, right?
Yep, that's the plan, because I'll be there until January 11th. That's the day I fly back home. So I think we were kind of looking at after the New Year, so I kind of have that week to do something.
So we will see you back here for interview together. Lovebirds. Okay, Steve, thank you so much. Happy to see you. Thank you guys for joining this live stream. And we see you soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye, Steve.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
When you know, and for me, I knew at that point. So I popped the question in the lounge of a family home, and she said yes.
Never stop to dream about something. If you really want to do something and want to receive something in your life, everything is possible. Yeah.
Just gotta dream.
It doesn't matter from which country we are. It's just we find out each other. Yes. I suppose that we are out there. We are soulmates. Yeah. And then just to wish happy to everyone
Yeah.
who will apply to your agency and something like this. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah, very happy, eh?
I would have paid more knowing that I was going to be with this amazingly loving, incredible woman. So it's a cheap price on what you're thinking you're going to be spending for the rest of your life on the woman you're with. What you're going to waste going down different other avenues and just keep on spinning the wheels.
So was it worth it?
Totally worth it because 3-4 years I was looking, and here in 2 weeks I got more results than I got in 2 years in Canada. So it says a lot, right?
I came for 6 days. My very first date, we hit it off and have been like this ever since.
Match Guarantee definitely delivered. I had a wonderful experience from day one, and I can't be happier really with the decision to go ahead and give it a try.
The expense of Match Guarantee is money well spent. It's a guarantee that you'll find somebody, and you'll also be able to do so in a very reasonable period of time.
So let's see, in total I went on around, it was 10 first dates. They were all incredibly beautiful, so much more than their photos. Compared to back home, yeah, I'm definitely out of my league.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it, obviously. I feel like I hit out of my league, personally. I feel like Maria's 9 to 10. I think she's absolutely stunning. Like she's insanely gorgeous.
Match Guarantee have found me my perfect lady, and it's worked out really, really well for me. I don't believe that I could have found a person like Olga. I don't think that ladies with her values exist anymore in England.
What I liked about the agency was that I wasn't smothered. They didn't try to mother me or direct me. They made introductions. It was just very natural.
Actually, it wound up that one of the ladies that Titania had suggested is the one that worked out right with me, because when I met her, I knew she was the right lady for me to be with. I just highly recommend the services of Match Guarantee because their purpose seems to be to match people and not just go with this fantasy world.
Joe and Match Guarantee made everything happen for me, and I couldn't be happier with where I'm at right now.
You know, I felt kind of crazy, but I went, you know what, I'm going to do it because, you know, I think I'm worth it. I don't spend a lot on myself, but, you know, I have to move forward and find a relationship.
I saw you on YouTube and I just had the feeling you were genuine and it was real. We are making plans for the future, and I see a future with Natalia in it, yes.
Working with Match Guarantee is actually less cost, it's much more efficient, and you have a good process on the way where you actually will be successful in your search.
I was surprised. I was very inundated with the amount of ladies that I was going to meet. Very, very beautiful women.
You know, don't be super cautious. Relax, especially trust Joe. Personally, I can put my stamp of approval.
Met some quality women, 2 of whom that I have a real connection with.
Few words about Match Guarantee, like it's really awesome. It's value for money. I can say that for sure, because it's not just matchmaking, it's coaching. That's the core, like, you know, that's the cream of the whole cake.
I've enjoyed it from, like I said, from start to finish. The girls seem like they're a lot more genuine. You can tell that the fraud or the fakeness that I've experienced in the past it isn't there.
They've done a wonderful job for me. So far, I can close my eyes and I can tell Joe, find me a girl, and I can trust a girl.
First of all, to be honest with you, I didn't think it was real, so I had to come here first to meet you, know you're real or not. I came and met Joe, and I was impressed by him and Tatiana and Olga and the website and how organized and the connections with the ladies. So I had no hesitation whatsoever, and I'm glad to. It's worth it, and worth a lot more than that, yes.
But it was well worth it to find the right person that I can hopefully spend the rest of my life with, and I've got no real complaints, and I wouldn't hesitate to do it again.
Of course it's worth it. You're investing in yourself. You're not purchasing a car that you trade in the future or something frivolous. You're investing in your life, a life partner, as a matter of fact. So how can you say investing in yourself isn't worth your entire life being happy with someone?
Joe, and Anna, and Jana, and Luba, they're invested. They want you to be happy. They want to find happiness. I know they're happy for me. I can feel their warmth when I talk to them. So I'm speaking from experience. They made me into a better me. They helped me get to where I am. They brought me and Irina together. The quality of women, and like I said, you saw the different women I went. They weren't mine, but they could be yours. They could be your match. But you're never going to know unless you get out of your comfort zone and stop talking about it and just do it.
The coaching and the quality of the girls definitely top notch.
You guys are screening, so where you're eliminating the wheat from the chaff.
I'm so thankful and grateful for you because the stuff you do is so real and it's beautiful.
If you're looking for a decent, honest company that will help you find the one, Match Guarantee, it's a perfect choice.
I think it's definitely worth it. You invest into your future family and make sure you're happy with your whole life.
It's very, very overwhelming experience to this point. I could not have asked for more. It's been a great, great experience.
I am utmost thankful and grateful to Joseph and his team for the counseling. Match Guarantee led me down the right path.
You're doing it for more than just the fees you received. You get, you really want to help people.
The opportunity to meet a variety of different great women in just a little over a week's time, and to establish something meaningful with a girl who has incredible model-like beauty as well as a lot of depth of character. She speaks 4 different languages. She's very intelligent and family-oriented. It's quite a bargain at that rate, as far as I'm concerned.
For me, the hardest part was looking past the beauty and actually finding someone who I want to marry and be with the rest of my life.
So at the end of the day, I couldn't be more happy with this investing in myself and my future.
Stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Street life, people.
Now I would have invested 10 times more for the love of my life.
Match Guarantee is a very authentic, genuine agency. The intent of Match Guarantee is to help foreign men find true love. I'm very happy to be a client of Match Guarantee, and I've had a very good experience.
Give Joe a chance, and you'll be very happy.
Match Guarantee is the real deal. Match Guarantee kicks ass.